What's up, everyone? How are we doing today? We even got some people in the Discord right now. That's pretty cool. Let's see. So I'm trying this new feature of Discord. Let's actually see if my sound is working. Streamlabs should be working. I can see myself. Hello, myself. That's great. So I'm trying something new, and Discord has this feature which is called Stage. And what it basically does is, right now I'm speaking on this stage on Discord, and people can join in to listen and also to request to speak in the stage. So if you would at any point in this live stream, if you would like to ask me a question or whatever, or if you would just like to talk with me, then you can go to, first of all, you can go to nesami.com/discord. So you can join our Discord if you're not in there just yet. Then you can leave your name, leave your email address, and then you're going to get access to this Discord channel. And then right here underneath the voice channels, you're going to find the stage. And here you're going to be able to join the stage and even request to speak if you would like to do so. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I've never done this before, but hey, it's something new I would like to just try out and see if anyone wants to join. What's up, Yeltsin? I see you in the stage. On stage. You're on stage, brother. So I think you can, yeah, I think you can just watch from there or listen from there. I'm not entirely sure how it works. Suppose I can't really show my what do you call it, my screen there, but well, if you're watching the stream, then it shouldn't be a problem anyways. Okay, so we talked about that. I also wanted to talk quickly about this. I'm going to launch a course or a program about technical analysis in 2 weeks' time, probably on Saturday in like 13 days, because I've been transitioning a little bit from doing videos about SPACs, more about doing videos about technical analysis. People seem to like it. The views are pretty good too, so that's pretty cool. And I've had some pretty positive feedback so far. So if you would also like to learn a little bit more about technical analysis at some point, then you can stay up to date for this newsletter, if you will. In about 1 week time, I'm probably going to start pushing out some emails, and if you're joining this beautiful newsletter, you're going to get a small little present when the program is actually launched. So you can go to nesami.com/TA for this to sign up for the newsletter. Very well. And then also the blog. I just posted a new blog that which I kind of do every week, just to post a few random thoughts that are in my mind. Nothing super serious, but just a few thoughts I had about crypto, for example. Crypto, of course, diving down a little bit. I already saw a question about Doge, so we probably are going to talk a little bit about that in a second. And I was also talking a little bit about the SEC, for example, because I think that, well, I'm not sure if you know Gary Gensler, but Gary Gensler is a guy who did this course, actually. He did a course on blockchain and on cryptocurrencies. He is this little guy over here. Well, he's actually not little, but he's in there. And he's right now the chairman of the SEC, or he's actually, I believe he's already the chairman of the SEC. I believe he's already sworn in. And I think that he's going to regulate the crypto world a little bit more than it has been doing so far. So I think he's going to, lead to some changes in the crypto world, which I believe personally is going to be good for the crypto world in the long term. I believe that regulation could lead to more mainstream adoption, not only by retail investors, people like you and me probably, but also the bigger guys, if you will, the guys with hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars who want to get in the crypto space too. And maybe those people right now say, well, it's not really regulated yet. We don't really feel safe in this world just yet. So I think if Gary Gensler is going to lead to regulation, I think that is going to lead a little bit more to mainstream adoption by the bigger investors out there, the whales, if you will. And what else did I talk about? Talked a little bit about SPACs. I believe that there are still some very interesting SPACs around because, of course, the entire SPAC market has been selling off quite a bit, as you can see in the ETF, the SPAC ETF, SPAK. We see just new lows basically every day right now, which is horrible, of course, if you're holding a lot of SPACs. I do have a few SPACs myself still. and some specs I'm holding for the long term. One of them is actually a spec I'm going to add more money to this week, which is Tpgy, which is merging with EVBox. I think that it's still very undervalued, especially if you we just see a question about Tpgy. So yeah, I think I am going to add to my position. Tpgy has of course sold off quite a bit, but in my eyes it becomes just cheaper and cheaper and a better deal every single day. So I like that. I wasn't actually around on Thursday and Friday to buy the dip, so I didn't even know that we had this dip incoming. But yeah, I kind of like it actually, because that means that right now I get to have a higher return on my investment, hopefully in the next coming years. Because Tpgy is definitely a spec that I'm willing to hold for at least 3 years and probably 5 years and probably beyond that even, because I'm bullish on the idea behind it, but also on the team itself, the company itself. And I'm not the only one, apparently. There was an article on Barron's a few days ago, I believe, on April 16th, talking about the EV charging specs or charging stocks. They were talking a little bit about ChargePoint, about EVgo, and I think Volta 2, not entirely sure. Yeah, Volta 2, and of course EVBox, the one I've just been talking about. And Barron's actually likes EVBox best of those 4 stocks. So Tpgy is definitely a stock I'm not going to sell. I am definitely going to add more to my position, even though it's already one of my largest positions. But I think that the risk-to-reward ratio is just getting more attractive by the day. So yeah, that basically is what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm actually going to keep this on my other screen so I can see if any requests to speak are going to come up. That's going to be exciting to see. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about a blog. If you want to read the blog, by the way, you can find it on nesami.com/blog. I'm going to click this away. If you want to join the Discord, you can do so here on nesami.com/discord. We talked a little bit about that too. Okay. And apart from that, I didn't really prepare anything. I do already see a few questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to go over those in a second. And what I do want to do very, very quickly is to see what kind of earnings, if we have any earnings coming up. ALPP had earnings? I didn't even know that actually. So Friday is 23rd. I'm actually going to write down ALPP because I didn't know they had earnings, because I'm not entirely sure if they even had earnings. Let's see. So we're just going to go through a few things. Just to see if we have any important earnings coming up this week that I want to attend to. eHang had their earnings on Friday. Today actually, well, I didn't really listen to. I wanted to listen to it, but I discovered that basically everything was in Chinese, so I basically just looked at the transcript, the English one, and I also looked at the what do you call them, the notes and everything. And I, of course, updated my premium Discord premium members. By the way, if you want to join our Discord premium membership, I'm shilling myself quite a lot today, but hey, whatever. If you want to join the Discord premium membership, you can do so by going to nesami.com/member. Here you're going to get access to a few things like my alerts, all of my analysis, all of my research is what I post on my Discord premium section. And also some additional videos. So yeah, you can join that basically for free for the first month. And after that, it's going to be $9.69. I thought that was a beautiful amount. Or $7.89, which is also a beautiful amount per month. So yeah, that's something you can check out if you want to go to nesami.com/member. Okay, enough shilling myself. Let's get to the earnings if we have any this week. I do think most earnings will not be this week, but the weeks afterwards. Tesla is coming up soon, but I think it's not this week yet, 26th of April. That is not this Monday, but so not tomorrow, but the Monday on the, Monday in 8 days time. You know what I mean? Talking is difficult sometimes. Let's see, upward, nope. View had a pretty massive down day actually on Thursday. I wasn't around, so I didn't even see this day. And honestly, I don't even know what caused it. So you might have to look into that a little bit. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any major, what do you call them, earnings. And we might have to look at these earnings because I didn't even notice that they had earnings, ALPP, which is, by the way, a stock I'm going to likely sell when they do their NASDAQ uplisting. But yeah, maybe more about that later on. Okay. Okay. So I made those notes. Let's get in the question, shall we? Would you buy Doge at this current price? So yeah, Doge, of course, is a kind of like a large meme, but the thing is that it's becoming a little bit more than a meme right now, doesn't it? But so far, I don't really think that Doge actually has a use case. I could be completely wrong. I haven't really kept up with Doge, so I could be completely wrong. But if you go to, wow, I can't speak. Okay, I'm going to try to articulate a little bit better today, shall we? I do have a lot of energy. Well, I do have a lot. I do have quite some energy today, so I'm not really tired, but sometimes my speech is a little bit slurred, especially if I want to talk too fast. So I'm going to try to talk a little bit slower so you can understand all my words. Okay, so Doge. It's actually very incredible for me to see that Doge is right now. If you look at the market cap of the coin, you can see that it has a market cap of $40.3 billion with a B. And it's currently the 6th largest cryptocurrency in the world. If you don't count Tether as a crypto, then it would be the 5th largest crypto in the world. Larger than Cardano, larger than Polkadot, larger than Uniswap, larger than Chainlink. This is, to me, quite incredible. So honestly, I would not buy Doge at this price. But again, I could be completely wrong. Maybe I overlook something, and maybe maybe this is going to actually go to the moon, as Elon Musk has been suggesting. So yeah, of course, Elon Musk could be doing something interesting with Doge, no idea. But yeah, to be honest with you, I stay away from it as much as I can. Now, purely based on the chart, it actually kind of looks pretty good. If you look at this chart, this 4-hour chart right here, it does look pretty solid right now, compared to the entire crypto world, which has gone down a lot today. Bitcoin, of course, down 8%. Ethereum down 7%. Chainlink 7%. Aave 12%. Polkadot 14%. And Doge is one of the only winners in this space today, up 12% for the day. So yeah, kind of insane, but no, I'm not going to buy. Gonna take a sip of my water and then read the next questions. Alright, so Mac Modi says, did SPACs already hit the bottom, or is there more pain to come? It's a solid question. No one, of course, knows the exact answer to that. I have been saying for a few weeks that I kind of expect a K-shaped recovery. I kind of expect that the good SPACs, or the SPACs with a proven business track record, are going to go back up. And the SPACs that do not have that proven business track record might continue to go down or stay flat a little bit. Have we seen the bottom? I'm not entirely sure, if I'm going to be honest with you. Again, if we go back to that SPAC ETF, SPAK, we can see that basically we are making a lower low compared to this low. We are still in a downtrend, so far I don't want to call a reversal just yet. I kind of think that we have some more room to the downside to go. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but honestly, it's not entirely looking too beautiful, if you ask me. Let's see. Samanath says, "Hi Nesami, how are you doing?" I'm doing great. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty well, actually. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Feeling very good. I've got a lot of things to do right now, or like in the last couple of weeks, and the next coming weeks I've got quite a lot of things to do. But yeah, apart from that, I feel kind of good. I've got energy. How's your portfolio? Well, actually a pretty negative day for me, of course. As you might know, I'm quite heavy on crypto. Like half of my net worth is in crypto. And about like 2/3 of my crypto is in Bitcoin. So of course a pretty negative day for me, but that's no problem. I'm in it for the long term. And of course my crypto, my normal portfolio has been going down quite a bit as well. So my portfolio isn't really doing well, but I don't really mind that I have to see a little bit of red in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months even. So yeah, honestly, portfolio not doing well, but I don't mind. I see it as a buying opportunity for some of my longer term holds, like Tpgy and possibly eHang 2. Hello, Nesami. What's up, Pedro? Pedro Gomez. You're from, I can't remember. Were you from Portugal or Brazil? I'm not entirely sure. How are you doing? What's up, Joe? What do you think about chilies? Yeah, chilies is hot, isn't it? Have you been seeing my technical analysis videos? So my what do you call this? My stop loss was actually hit. It was quite funny because I was messing around so much with chilies. I hadn't ever traded on Binance before. I've only bought and held for the last couple of year or so on Binance. So I had never had a trade on Binance, so I didn't really know how those take profit and stop losses worked. It turned out to be an OCO order, and I wasn't really sure how to use those orders. So that was a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, apart from that, what do I think about chilies? What do I think about chilies? Let's actually go to a daily time frame first. I haven't really been looking at the chart right now. I've only looked at the chart when I did the video yesterday, actually. So if we just look at the daily chart, it still looks good, honestly. I still don't mind the chart. We still have not made a lower high compared to this high on the daily chart, and I imagine that's going to be the same more or less on the 12-hour chart. Actually, it's a little bit different. Seeing it's slightly different. We did actually make a lower low, sorry, on the 12-hour chart, so that's looking a little bit more bearish. Now, what do we see if we go down a few time frames? Yeah. So I think I would be leaning towards more downside, to be honest with you. If you look at the 4-hour chart, we are making lower lows right now. The RSI is actually trading below that EMA that I'm talking about quite often, and the MACD has seen a nice cross to the downside. So I would actually expect a little bit more or downside or consolidation happening in the next coming days, kind of. So where are my lines, by the way? Where are my lines? I'm actually not on the correct chart, I guess. This is the chart that I want to use. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So I could definitely see some more downside happening. I'm a little bit more neutral right now. I think I'm leaning towards a little bit more downside, like 55 to maybe 60% likelihood of downside and 45 to 40% likelihood of upside. But I'm kind of neutral at this moment, very, very slightly leaning towards more downside to come in the next coming days. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on chilies right now, to be honest with you. Not going to do a full technical analysis, but that's basically my thoughts right now. GIK doing horrible, irrespective with bunch of great news. Thoughts? Yeah, I saw that. I was actually kind of confused because, as I said, I wasn't around on Thursday. I wasn't around on Friday. So I looked at this chart yesterday on Saturday and I was like, what the hell? So GIK has gone down 10% to $9 per share. They, of course, have their merger vote coming up on April 21st, which is going to be this Wednesday. So I believe that tomorrow, or maybe already it has happened, but I believe tomorrow, it normally is 2 business days before the merger, that the option to redeem your shares is going to be taken away. So I believe from tomorrow on or from last Friday on, you're not able to redeem your shares anymore for $10 per share, which is very likely the reason for which this just crushed below that level on Friday. Now, as you say, it is quite strange because it is, I think there are multiple pieces of good news about Lightning E-Motors, of course, and it might actually be a SPAC that I'm willing to hold a little bit longer than I anticipated. So what I wanted to do was I was going to hold this for a shorter amount of time. I was going to hold it until the merger happens. But if it's going to be around $9 per share at the merger date, then I'm likely going to hold a little bit longer than I anticipated. So I'm probably willing to wait like multiple weeks or maybe even months until we see a price movement to the upside again. Because I do think that it is undervalued, and especially if they're able to achieve their goals of 2021, I believe, or maybe 2022, then I definitely think that this is one of the, probably very undervalued stocks right now. So those are kind of my thoughts, and yeah, hope that makes sense. Tpgy, what are our plans moving forward? I already talked about that a little bit, but you probably listened to that. I hope Tpgy doesn't fall below 10. Will be real tragic if it does. Honestly, I would not mind. I don't care if this goes below $10. If it goes below $10, then I would be willing to buy even more. And because I really believe in EVBox, honestly. I really believe in the company. I believe in the sector they are in. I like it because it's like a European play. It's a little bit Dutch too. So I kind of like that, and I'm definitely willing to load the boat on this, if you will, to make this like my number one position if this does fall below $10. But again, I'm in it for the long term, so I'm not sure if you're in it for the shorter term. I don't mind waiting multiple years to see this go up. I don't want to say like, it can definitely go up like 3x in 5 years' time. I would definitely not be surprised if that happens. And that would be a pretty solid return, of course. And I saw another comment for you about Tpgy. When does Tpgy report their guidance numbers? I think it will help stabilize the stock. So first of all, what they have to do is complete the merger. I believe we don't have a date for that just yet. Let's actually very quickly go to their latest S4 filing to see if they have something about that. Because first they have to do the merger, and then they are going to be able to do a earnings call. And well, we don't really know when that earnings call is going to be, of course. We can maybe go to EVBox IR, which is investor relations, and maybe they have something on there. Let's see. I should actually... I'm thinking about contacting them to do an interview or something, because I'm definitely wanting to do an interview with them and probably also visit the company at some point when the whole like Corona crisis has been gone. But yeah, I might do that after they have done the merger. Anyways. Yeah, I don't think there's any news just yet about any earnings, which makes sense. Let's see if we can find the latest S4 filing. S4. Probably is a while ago. Is it that long ago? Or maybe I should be looking at... maybe it's a little bit different for Tpgy because it's a European one. Is it in here? No, it's not in here. Beneficial ownership, that's not what I want. Interesting. This is the S1. Interesting. I thought they would have an updated S4 by now, but unfortunately they haven't. I suppose we just have to wait until they have an updated filing at the SEC. So far there is none. So I don't think we have a merger date or a merger vote date just yet. But yeah, again, I don't mind willing to wait multiple months to wait for the merger, wait for the earnings call, and wait for upside. Anyways, what's up, Juho? How's Finland? Let's take a sip of water. Have the number of short reports, etc., come up and become more popular just recently. So honestly, it does look like it. It does look like it. It might also be because I've been holding a few stocks that have been hit by multiple short seller reports. So that could be the case for sure. That could be the case. I'm not sure if it has happened. I don't have the numbers, of course. But it could be the case that in a bear market, I can imagine that short sellers are making more money. And if a stock is already going to go down, and if then a short seller report comes out, it's going to go down even more. So then it's kind of likely that the short sellers are going to make quite a lot of money. So it could make sense. It could make strategic sense to come up with a short seller report when you're in a bear market, I suppose. That can definitely happen. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the numbers for that. I'm not entirely sure, Juho. What do you think? A lot of your stocks have been hit by short seller reports too? So in my case, of course, it has been EHang, it has been Ag Eagle, and I believe there was another one, or wasn't that in my portfolio? I'm not entirely sure, actually. Not entirely sure. Anyways, what's up, Guru? Ooh, interesting name. Gurvinder. I like that name, by the way. What's up? How are you doing? What do you think of NEO for a long-term hold? I'm bullish on NEO for a long-term hold. I think it's probably one of the best Chinese EV stocks to have. I kind of like it at this moment, I would say. I'm not entirely sure what the valuation is. Let's actually go to Yahoo Finance. According to TradingView, it's trading at a $45 billion market cap, but it might be a little bit bigger. Let's go to NEO. And let's see what the market cap is here. Yeah, here it says $59 billion, so that's of course a little bit more. But still, if you compare this to Tesla, it still seems to be, yeah, quite, well, I don't want to say cheap, because it's of course a very entirely different company and in a different phase, I would say. And of course, the numbers of like revenue and sales are way different. But I do think that NEO can become one of the largest, or probably is already one of the largest players, especially in the Chinese market, of course. I think that long term, this is definitely, I don't want to say definitely, that's a bad word to use, but I do think that it is a good company to have. And of course, that's not financial advice, but yeah, honestly, I do see NEO way higher here, or not way higher. I do see NEO higher here. Wow, I can't speak. I do see NEO higher in the future, in like 5 years' time, compared to where it is right now. Let's actually draw in a new line, because I do think we are currently at a support level. I think the next week is going to be relatively important, because right now we are on the daily chart, and as we can see, we made a low right here on the level of $35 more or less. Then we came up to this resistance of $45, and then we came back down all the way back to that $35, came back up a little bit, and now back down to, again, that $35 level. So I do think the next coming days are going to be relatively important. If we see a move, if we see a closure, a candlestick closure below $35, I could potentially target a move all the way lower, potentially even to $29.50 more or less, which is where the next support is going to come in, but I would see that as an opportunity myself. I'm not going to go in that myself, but I do think that, yeah, it is a solid company in the long term. So yes, my answer is yes. I thought 18 May Tpgy numbers. Really? Okay. If you have any like link or something like that, then let me know. I would definitely be interested in that. 18th of May. Okay. Could be interesting. I just bought DOT. Cool. That's awesome. I finally bought the dip, or I finally got the dip I was waiting for. That's awesome, Armando. Yeah, I've been. I'm very bullish on DOT, honestly, myself. As we, if we go back to CoinMarketCap.com, we can see that Polkadot right now is in position 8. If you look at the market cap, with a market cap of 34 billion. Which is cheaper than Dogecoin. So I probably that probably says quite a bit. And honestly, I think that Polkadot could become one of the largest, like potentially the number 3 cryptocurrency in the world in a few years' time. And I can see this battling quite a lot with Ethereum in the future. I think Polkadot can become a major network for other blockchain projects. And I'm very bullish on the project. I'm very bullish on the guy behind Polkadot. So Gavin Wood, which is the co-founder of Ethereum. Yeah, definitely check out his interviews on YouTube if you want to learn a little bit more about Polkadot. But yeah, congratulations on getting in on that wick probably. You probably had some limit orders maybe, or you just bought in at a market order. But yeah, pretty solid dip. It went all the way back down to, what was the low here? Low was $32.20. So yeah, if you would have bought in there, then you would have already made a nice little profit of, let's see, about yeah, 12% almost. But yeah, I've been accumulating Polkadot myself around these levels, I believe, around like $16 to $18. And I believe I also took advantage of a wick. I remember that I put in some low market orders. I think it was on this wick over here. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I put in some limit orders over here, and these got hit. It was like $12, and I think it was like the absolute low of like $12.60 or something, and that order got hit. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my average price, which I don't know at this moment, but yeah, it is up a nice bunch. So yeah, that's good. Thoughts on skills? Thoughts on skills? Let's see. So we did a video about this, of course. I remember doing a video about skills, talking about this support level of $17.80. I think I also mentioned that I probably was a little bit neutral to slightly bearish about this about this stock, because we were still on the daily chart trading below that 8 daily exponential moving average, and we still are. And I was probably talking about the next support of $14.30. And right now we are exactly at that level. On Friday, we got to a low of $14.56. So that's already very close to that target of $14.30. So let's see right now if we hold up at this level. I do think we will see a nice little bounce in the next coming days, potentially 2 weeks. I do think that this could be the low. Of course, that's not like a guarantee, but yeah, especially if you see a move back above this yellow line, which is the 8 daily exponential moving average, then I do think that the low could be in for skills. I see that the RSI is still trading below the EMA, so we could definitely have some more downside to go, but honestly, I think we're very close to a bottom if I would have to guess myself. But yeah, if you want to be a little bit more conservative, I would probably wait for a closure above the 8 daily exponential moving average. I would probably wait for the RSI to move back above the exponential moving average on the RSI, and I would probably wait until the MACD shows a bullish cross of the MACD above the signal line. Let's see, Portugal. Ah, right, Pedro. Muito bem, muito bem. Eu não posso falar muito português, mas eu posso falar espanhol. Hope that was understandable. Good. Did you sell PaySafe completely? Yes, I did. I think I sold half of my position a few days before the merger vote was actually going to happen, or maybe before the merger was going to happen, and then I sold the rest of my position a few days later, because usually I don't hold SPACs through the merger. I think I sold more or less at 15.50 more or less, or 16 even, I'm not entirely sure. I think I sold a little bit like here on this day, more or less, on 24th of March, and probably on the day itself. Not entirely sure, but yeah, I did get out of my entire position, that's for sure. Thoughts on View and WIME. I don't know the second one, but let's actually go to View, which I saw. I still don't know. I haven't really had a lot of time to what do you call it? to look for information about this, but we had a massive candlestick to the downside on Thursday of 17%, and I still don't really know what happened back then. So I kind of have to search for, I'm actually going to write that down. View, why down, question mark. So yeah, I still don't really know why it went down so much. So maybe you have an answer for me. And honestly, with regards to my technical analysis, I don't really have an opinion right now, because we are kind of in like no man's land. We are in a territory where we just don't have any price action, any price history going on right here. So it's very difficult to put like any technical analysis on a chart that looks like this. We can look at the indicators, however. Now we do see that the RSI seems to be moving upwards. It seems to have hit a nice little low in this region, and now it is stair-stepping to the upside, so that is pretty good. The stochastics, yeah, are okayish. The MACD is okayish. It's difficult. With regards to technical analysis, I don't have a strong opinion. I think I would be leaning towards upside in the next coming weeks, like 55% likelihood of upside, but it's just a very kind of neutral view, no pun intended, on the company view right now. I do think long-term it's still a solid company. I do think it is still an opportunity, in my personal opinion. I'm not going to add to my position because I'm already happy with the position that I currently have, but I'm definitely willing to wait this out like multiple years. 3 years would not be an issue for me. And the other one was WIMI, and I don't know about this one. So business-wise, I have no idea. It is a very small company, apparently. It is, what kind of company is it? Cloud? Maybe a cloud company? Seems to have a market cap of $330 million. And according to TradingView, it actually had quite a lot of revenue in 2019. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. So I don't know this company, but we can, of course, check out the graph. And with regards to the graph, it looks like we have a nice little, let's say it's almost a range of support, more or less over here. Let's actually draw in a nice little box. Where do we have our rectangle? Let's draw in a nice little box from here to there. So I do think that this box is going to hold up price action relatively well. If I would have to guess based on the previous price action, you can see that we created a low back here in September 2020. Then we got down and even got lower in October. And we got up back to that same low, up, same low, up, same low, up, same low, up. Now the same low too. So I do think the level between $5.45 and $5.70 is a very big support line. I do like that. So it could be it could be an opportunity. You look at the RSI, it is still trading below the exponential moving average. So the RSI right here is the blue line and the EMA is the white line. And the RSI, the blue line, is still trading below the white line. And that could lead to a little bit more downside. But again, support is quite strong. The MACD is a little bit more neutral, potentially even a little bit more bullish than bearish. So I kind of think that this could be definitely an opportunity. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, I'd probably wait for a closure, a candlestick closure, daily candlestick closure above the yellow line, which is the 8 daily exponential moving average, and potentially even a move of the RSI above the EMA. And then it could be an opportunity, in my personal opinion. But that's, of course, not financial advice. Let us see. Maybe I have to go through this a little bit quicker, eh? That means people are selling GIK for a loss, something cooking. Yeah, of course, yes. There can be people selling for a loss. I sold some of my SPACs for a loss because I was just going to swing trade them and not holding them for the long term. And I think a lot of people do swing trade SPACs and don't really hold them for the long term necessarily. It's probably going to depend on the stock, on the SPAC, but some people are just going to hold it for the shorter amount of time. What's up, Yashin? How are you doing? Why are all the EV stocks down? Chips shortage or Biden and Archegos? Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. I think it's a combination of the things you have been saying. I think the chip shortage is definitely a possible factor. I think the Biden factor is a little bit more bullish than bearish, honestly, because I do think that the infrastructure plans of Biden are more bullish than bearish for the EV sector. Archegos, I don't really think that's a necessary catalyst for downside. I think there was a very brief blip on the radar, and I think that's already gone, to be very honest with you. I think let's actually take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield, because I haven't really looked at that. So the 10-year Treasury yield is still relatively high, I would say. I can definitely see this going down to about 149, 150 because of the previous support, and also because of the 55 EMA. So yeah, the 10-year Treasury yield is stabilizing, which is good. If you look at the NASDAQ, we have seen a nice move back to the upside. This is kind of working inversely to the 10-year Treasury yield. So we first saw this going up and the NASDAQ going down. And then we saw the 10-year Treasury yield going down and the NASDAQ going up. So with regards to EV stocks, I think especially the bigger ones are within the NASDAQ play. I think that most kind of trade with the NASDAQ. Tesla, of course, had a pretty solid move back to the upside in the last coming weeks. If you would calculate this from the low of the 8th of March and back to where we are right now, it is already up 32%, you know? So it is already up quite a bit in just like 1.5 months of time. So I kind of like that. I'm not entirely sure if you have like specific EV stocks in mind. If so, let me know. If so, let me know. But yeah, there are definitely companies like NIO that are still down a little bit more. Not entirely sure why. It could also have to do a little bit with the Chinese being Chinese stocks, you know. Potentially we see less interest in Chinese stocks. That could also be an opportunity, or also be a catalyst for more downside movements. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really know if there's any other factor that I haven't really talked about just yet. What's up, the student belegger? How are you doing? If you had to buy one stock, SPAC or recently merged, and put all of your money in there, which one would you choose, or which one would you buy and why? Just a random but curious question. Good question. I don't think it's a random question. So if you would have to buy one stock and put all of your money in there. So first of all, I'm going to go to my portfolio. I'm going to go to my long-term stocks, and I'm going to think a little bit about my plays right here. So it kind of depends. How long would I have to hold it for? But yeah, if it's like 5 years time or something like that. Depends a little bit. If I want to have the largest like risk-reward ratio, I might go something for like Tpgy merging with EVBox. I think it's definitely one of my strongest conviction stocks. But if I want to go a little bit safer, I'd probably still just put it all in Tesla, honestly. So I think my answer would probably be Tesla to be on the safer side. Because if I had to put all of my money in one stock, then EVBox is definitely a little bit more risky. And yeah, in that case, I probably would put all of my money in Tesla instead, especially if I was able to hold it for about 5 years' time. Because I do think we can appreciate quite a bit in the next coming 5 years. But again, if I would go to a little bit more riskier route, then I'd probably go for Tpgy. Or potentially ChargePoint. But I think Tpgy has a better valuation right now. Okay, Yashin says, I have 4,000 Ag Eagle at 9.14. Do you think this will bounce? Should I double down, and at what price? Well, of course, I can't give you like specific price targets or specific financial advice. I can't really say anything about that. I do have Ag Eagle definitely is one of my largest positions. But keep in mind, this is definitely a long-term play. I think that for a stock like this to play out, you probably have to wait multiple years, if not like 5 years. Because, of course, right now, we don't live in a world where drones are the standard just yet. I do think this world can develop quite fast, but I'm not entirely sure if in 5 years' time we are going to have package delivery via drones like all around the globe, like in the Western world, if you will. I'm not entirely sure if that is going to happen very quickly. I'm not sure. Could be the case, could be the case. But again, I do think that Ag Eagle could be one of the front runners, could be one of the first movers in this space, especially, and of course, everything so much depends on the partnership with the major e-commerce client that they keep talking about. If that actually is Amazon, and if Amazon is really happy with the partnership with Ag Eagle, then I think Ag Eagle currently is very undervalued. Because I do think that the opportunity for Ag Eagle in the next coming years is quite massive when it comes to package delivery drones. Now, if it is a smaller major e-commerce player, and maybe the e-commerce player doesn't really like the partnership, and maybe they're going to let them go away in a few like months or years time, then of course it is more of a bearish view that I would have on Ag Eagle. But in general, I think that there is more upside to come for Ag Eagle. I do think that there could be some positive catalysts for this company. And I personally believe in the company. I believe in the CEO. You might have seen my video about the CEO last Wednesday, I think. I believe in the CEO's capabilities to grow this company into something bigger. into something that can do tens of millions of dollars in revenue in the next coming years. So personally, I would be bullish on Ag Eagle for the next coming years, but again, it is a long-term play. Now, do you have to double down? That is, of course, not my place to say. We did have a relatively nasty candlestick closure on Thursday and Friday. We closed below this level of $5, more or less. And the indicators don't really indicate upside right now. So if you want to be a little bit more conservative, I'd probably also wait for a move back above the 8 daily exponential moving average, which is this yellow line over here. And potentially also a move of the RSI back above the EMA and probably above and letting this EMA go back to the upside instead of right now moving to the downside. So I hope that helps a little bit. I need to go quicker. Okay, let's go quicker. Let's do this. Have you ever heard about pyrogenesis? No. What are your initial thoughts about it? I have never heard about it, so that's a, yeah. I don't know. But if I want to look at the chart, I see that we have seen this support level, which was broken. So I kind of look at this this next level, more or less. Yeah, more or less. Let's make a nice little box. So I think that this box is a nice box of resistance, which is a box between 425 and 460, more or less. I do think that it can very well go to that level, between that level of 425 and 460, because I don't really see a lot of price action holding the price action up right now. So I do think I would be leaning towards more downside in the next coming days, potentially weeks. And if we reach there, then it could be an opportunity, purely based on technical analysis, but I would have to see it at that moment. Again, you would probably want to look for a move back above the 8 daily exponential moving average, a move of the RSI back above the EMA, a move of the MACD back above the signal line. So those could be some potential things to look at. Apart from that, no real thoughts. Hey bro, love your videos. What's up, Harrison? How you doing? I love your comments. Good time to buy BitTorrent, or is it going to dump more? Asks Shubham. Cool name. BitTorrent, I don't know, honestly. I have never looked at this, but let's actually do so. So it's holding up relatively nicely compared to the rest of the crypto world. If I would look at the daily chart, then I see a massive high over here. I see a potential low over here. So purely looking at the price action, it still looks okay-ish. I think we can have some more consolidation going to the, horizontally, basically. I am looking at this level of, well, what is it? 0.0076, more or less. I think that is a big support level. If we break below that level, I would target a move potentially all the way to about like 0.0053 even, because of this 55-day daily exponential moving average. If you look at the RSI, we're still trading below the EMA. I would see this as bearish. If you look at the stochastics, still going down. MACD still going down. So honestly, I would be looking for more downside to come in the next coming days, potentially weeks. I can definitely see a move below the 0.0076 level, and I could see a move back to the 0.0052 level, more or less. So those are my very brief thoughts about the technical analysis here. I would be leaning towards downside. Thoughts on TTCF? So honestly, at this level, I might probably be interested in it. If you don't know Meet Kevin, maybe check out his videos about TTCF. If you don't know Financial Education on YouTube, maybe check out his videos about TTCF. Because I know they have been, they had this little battle going on. Jeremy from Financial Education being very bullish about this company, and Meet Kevin basically selling his portion of TTCF. It's actually funny because I had basically a perfect swing trade in TTCF a while ago. I got in more or less here at like $16, and I got out more or less here at $25.50 more. So that was like a perfect swing trade based on technical analysis. That was beautiful. But yeah, let's actually look at where we are right now. So you were asking business-wise. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the technical analysis. I don't know enough about the company to make a very big opinion about that. Based on what I've heard from Meet Kevin and based on what I've heard from Financial Education, I would be bullish on the company. I do think that the world is moving towards healthier food, towards more like vegetarian food. So I definitely think that we are going to see a move towards the food that TTCF is producing. So that is one of my thoughts I have. I remember listening to one of the analyst days they organized that was interesting to look at. I thought it was a refreshing company. I liked the CEO. I thought that the CEO had a very, like, what do you call it? It's almost was cute. This is a very weird word to use in the stock market, but listening to the CEO, it felt like the CEO was very invested in the company and in the success of the company. So I really liked that. So that is another bullish signal that I would have about the business of the company. So those are just a few random thoughts that I have about the Tattooed Chef. I do think they can definitely be able to, achieve good things. And I do think that it could be an opportunity right here, purely based on technical analysis. But again, you didn't ask about technical analysis. But I do think that the $18 level is a nice support level. And also here, I would probably be looking at a move back above the 8 daily exponential moving average to potentially get in or add. But again, that's not financial advice. What's up, Federico Brunato? Molto bene. What about Wish? Which one? I suppose this one? I suppose this one because it's on a NASDAQ. But I'm not entirely sure. Context logic is that the Wish you have been looking for. So it's looking very similar to View. It's just going down, going down. We can definitely have more downside to go. No opinion about the company because I don't know it. And with regards to technical analysis, I would be looking for a move back above the 8 daily exponential moving average and the RSI back above the EMA. Very brief technical analysis. Your Portuguese is not bad. Whoa, thank you, Yashim. That is probably the only sentence that I can produce in Portuguese. Safe Moon, what do you think? Safe Moon is a pump. Doesn't mean it can't keep going. Okay, so I don't know the coin. And is this the chart that I should be looking at? I don't know what the ticker is for Safe Moon. I've seen it on stock tweets a few times, and I've been trying to look it up on TradingView, but I've never been able to find it on TradingView. So if there's no like stock like ticker that I can look at, then unfortunately I don't have an opinion. It looks like this is just started trading today actually, so it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion about it. We can maybe go to stock tweets. I sometimes use stock tweets to look up news very quickly. Well, that is blowing my brains out. Safe Moon X. Is there a chart? There's not even a chart here, so I don't really have a chart to look at, and I don't really know what happens with this cryptocurrency. So yeah, no opinion, honestly. What's the pro forma enterprise value of Momentous? They recently had updated their revenues due to the government approval process and questions raised by DOD, Department of something? Department of, DOD, Department of Defense. Ah, yeah, Defense. That makes sense. What is, well, let's look it up. Let's go to my video. In the meantime, I'm going to read the rest of your question. The adjustment is a makeup of that and seems conservative to me. The pipeline grew by 50% in just 1 quarter. That sounds bullish. Momentous merging with SRAC. Yeah, by the way, solid analysis on Wish. Did I? Really? Was I already talking about Wish when I saw that comment? Oh, that's interesting. Anyways, so SRAC. Let's go to this video. So I did a valuation video about this in January. Nope, I don't want to listen to myself. And according to this, if we go to the pro forma valuation, when it was trading at $10 per share, it had a pro forma market cap of 1.5 billion. Let's now go to SRAC. It's basically, well, slightly higher right now. So I would say that it's currently about 1.7 billion. More or less. 1.7 billion in market cap. And the enterprise value, that's what you were asking for, would be about 1.4 billion. Thank you for stocks valuation videos. What's up, Mac? My only concern at this point is forward-looking projections, yes, of these SPACs and higher multiples. How to value these SPACs with current revenue? So it's a good concern you have, and also a good question. It's difficult to, let's see, what should I talk about first? Concern. Let me very briefly take a sip of my water. So, concern. Forward-looking projections. Yes, I agree. I made a few videos about that too, saying that, well, these can definitely be overstated at some point. And it could also be the case that SPACs are allowed to make forward-looking statements and forward-looking projections without having to really accomplish those goals, if you will. So yes, I agree with your concern, definitely. So then your question becomes how to value these SPACs with current revenue. It depends on what kind of SPACs you're talking about. On the one side, if you're talking about SPACs that do not have any revenue just yet, then it's almost impossible to do a valuation based on the current revenue because they simply don't have any revenue. So then you kind of have to look at the future of that company. However, some companies like ChargePoint, like Tpgy, already have some revenue, or FRX, or GNPK. Those already have some revenue, so you could then, if it is a company in a sector that is already kind of established, if you will, you could look at the competitors and to see what kind of multiples they are trading at. In the example of FRX merging with the Beachbody, for example, you could maybe look at the comparison between the Beachbody and Peloton, which could be a potential competitor of the Beachbody. And you could look at the potential, like the EV to sales ratio, so the enterprise value to revenue ratios of the Beachbody versus Peloton. So that's something you can do. That's definitely something you can do. That's probably the number one method that I personally would use to value SPACs with current revenue. Can you talk about THCB, please? Says Riber or Riber, I don't know. Do you think there's a chance of a recovery? I always think there's a chance, so that's good. It seems to be selling off along with the other SPACs out there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Microvast already has a little bit more of a proven track record compared to the other companies out there, or the other SPACs out there. And let's actually go to THCB. I think I talked about this during a live stream, actually. Kind of like a, 5 weeks ago or so. Don't want to listen to myself. And I do want to check out, let's see, this one. Where are you? Where are you? These are any multiples. But I want to know what the revenue is going to be. Where is the revenue? Like the enterprise valuation. Is this the revenue? Well, god darn it. Let's check out the investor presentation, shall we? Can you talk about THCB? Yes. So yes, I do think there's a possibility of a recovery. And I'm actually wanting to see how much revenue they already have. So the revenue in 2020 was 101 million, according to this slide over here. Yes. And in 2021, they expect to have $230 million in revenue. I definitely think that is a possibility. I think they can be able to basically double their revenue. So that's good. So if they have $230 million in revenue, and if the enterprise valuation currently is around 2.6 billion more or less, because it is currently trading at $11 instead of $10, then it would be a price to sales ratio of about 13:1, which is not cheap. So the valuation, I would say, is based on future performance of this company, basically based on what this company is going to do in like 3 to 5 years time, right? So then the question becomes, do you want to look at this company for a short-term trade, like in a few weeks or months, or do you want to hold this for the long term? If you want to hold this for the long term, say 3 years plus, I definitely think there's an opportunity for a reversal, a recovery. If you're talking about a few weeks or months time, then I would be a little bit more neutral, and I would kind of say, I don't know. And that would be my honest answer. Because I do think that it's not overvalued if you look at the current revenue or the revenue of 2021, but it is undervalued if you look at the current, or if you look at the revenue in a few years' time. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion about it. Short term, I don't know. Long term, yes, I do think so. Cool, I'm going to do a deep dive into EVBox. Never heard of it. Okay, I've got I think about 4 or 5 videos about it. Also a comparison between EVBox and ChargePoint and EVgo. And, well, you might like it. It has a Dutch aspect to it. So, yeah, that is something you might like too. Skills, can we talk about skills, please? Already did that. Carlos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? So I already talked about skills, so I'm not going to repeat that, honestly. Could you talk about PaySafe, please? Thank you. What's up, Gökhan? Gökhan? It's an interesting name. Cool. Could you talk about PaySafe? Of course. Of course. Let's see. Let us see. So, yeah, again, personally, I already got out of my swing trade. I do think this is one of the safer companies out there to invest in. I honestly believe that this could be undervalued at this moment. So I did a valuation video. I believe that valuation was around $20 more or less. And I do think that that already is basically based on the current revenue, if I'm not mistaken. Because this company, PaySafe, already has a proven track record. If you look at the revenue, let's go to BFT, of course. This video. Was it? Yeah, so the midpoint valuation was at $20.88. What I want to do is go a little bit earlier in this video to find exactly this. So as you can see, the current revenue in 2021 is expected to be, and I do have to look at the correct numbers, I believe it's this number over here, so $1.66 billion, which is definitely, yeah, impressive. If you take into account that the current enterprise value is about, what is it? About 12 to 12.5 billion, I think. Because of course it's not trading at $10 anymore, but $13.50. So it's 35% more. So then it's about like 12.5 to $13 billion in enterprise value, which is a EV to sales ratio of about 8x, I think. My mental math is not great, but I think it's about 8x, which I think is solid. It's not bad. And I think this company can definitely grow over time. So honestly, I think this could already be an opportunity, in my opinion. I do think that this could even be the low, if you ask me. Now, that's not confirmed just yet. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, then you could maybe look at the RSI to see if the RSI is going to move back above the exponential moving average on the RSI. And you can also look on the daily at the MACD If it crosses back above the signal line, then I would probably target a move back to the upside. But honestly, if you're a long-term player, I'm not sure if you were talking about long-term, you didn't. Honestly, I kind of think this is already an opportunity, but that, of course, is not financial advice. Y'all should check out the Discord. Definitely, Harrison. Yeah, if you want to join the Discord again, you can join it for free. There's a free section and there's a premium section. So if you want to join the Discord for free, you can join it by going to nesami.com/Discord. And if you want to become a premium member, you can go to nesami.com/member. And there we're talking, I can actually pull it up right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about the stage. I actually need 3 screens because I need multiple screens to see everything, but I'm not sure if anyone in the Discord was actually wanting to, because I'm currently running a stage on Discord. If you just tuned in, then you probably don't know. But if you want to join the Discord and join the stage, you can even speak to me if you would like to do so. If you would like to do so, then maybe you'd pop a message on like YouTube so I can see your request, and then we can talk a little bit. But anyways, yeah, we've got multiple channels in here. We talk about basically anything about crypto, about stocks, about SPACs, about technical analysis, about portfolios. And of course, there's also a Discord premium membership section where we talk about some other things, where I share all of my research about these stocks that are listed here. And in a few weeks' time, we're also going to have a course. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Thanks, Palantir. Palantir. Haven't checked out Palantir in a while. So Palantir is moving along this beautiful support line of $22.50 more or less. And it has been going horizontal, likely because of that support level. Support is quite strong at this moment. I would extend this a little bit. I would probably make it a nice little box right now of this level of $21 until $22.50. I do think it's a very strong support level, so that seems pretty good. It of course has already a market cap of 41 billion, but if you are a long-term player, this could be an opportunity. If you want to be a more conservative player, then I'd probably wait for a daily candlestick move, a closure above the 55 daily exponential moving average. And I'll probably also be looking for a move back to the, on the RSI, back above the EMA, of course. But honestly, if you're a long-term player, this could already be an opportunity. People are realizing Bitcoin's economy is tied to the global electrical grid, which is run by antiquated computers in the US. The great dump is upon us. It's altcoin time. Huh, that's an interesting one. Going to the global electrical grid. Antiquated computers. I'm not entirely sure if I would call them antiquated computers. They are run on what they are called ASICs. So ASICS, not actually that company. So it's a chip like a GPU, like a video card, but then a specific GPU. So what it stands for is an application-specific integrated circuit. That's it. So these are made, and it looks like this one. These are made specifically for Bitcoin mining. So the miners are running their mining rigs on ASICs, which are definitely not antiquated computers. So I'm not sure if that is what you mean, or if you are referring to something else. So, but yeah, altcoin time. It could definitely be altcoin time. If you check out the Bitcoin dominance, I think it is already altcoin time, honestly. I think it has already been altcoin time for the last couple of months since January, because the Bitcoin dominance has gone down significantly. And as you can see, we have come down, let's see, about 27% already on the Bitcoin dominance chart. If you scroll out a little bit on the weekly, you can see that we had a nice bullish move from January 2018 to about like August 2019. Then we had a nice little sell-off on the Bitcoin dominance. And then we had a aggressive move back to the upside when Bitcoin went up from like 10,000 to like 60,000. And then right now we are in a cool down phase. I believe it is already altcoin season, to be honest with you. And I think it already has been for a while. Hey Nesami, what do you think of Ride, Lordstown Motors? So I remember that there was a short seller report. So that is definitely something you need to take into account. I haven't really looked into the company as of late. You say it might be a little bit undervalued in terms of the potential they have. Yeah, so I think this is a company where you have to believe the story, where you also need to look into the short seller report if there are any issues that could be a real issue for this company. So I don't really know anything about the company itself, and purely based on technical analysis, we are, of course, back to that, well, level of $10 per share, which was, of course, the net asset value of this SPAC before it was a just normal stock, of course. So that is something to look at. Again, if you would want to get into a position or potentially add to your position, I'd probably be waiting for a candlestick closure above the 8 daily exponential moving average and the RSI back above the EMA. And yeah, those are pretty much the main things I would be looking at. If you believe in a company, then it could definitely be an opportunity right now. But that definitely has to be a strong belief in the company. What's up, Aitor? How are you doing, man? I haven't talked to you for a while. How are you doing? Have you been playing a little bit of poker lately or not? Man, you make me think of my very big, like, failed Twitch stream. I did a Twitch stream. I did a few, like, I played poker on Twitch, and honestly, it did not really go as planned. Almost no one showed up. That was really sad, but it was fun nonetheless for one time. But I don't really want to do it again, honestly. Anyways. Federico asks, are you bullish on FRX in the middle or long term? So I still am in my swing trade of FRX. I added a little bit to my swing trade lately during this like move to the downside when we were still close to that $10 level. So personally, difficult to say, of course, because it seems to be moving along with the SPACs. But honestly, I wouldn't mind holding this longer than the normal swing trades that I have. Because I do think that FRX definitely is one of the safer SPACs out there, along with PaySafe, we have just been talking about that. Also along with GNPK, which I have been adding to my position lately. So yeah, honestly, I do think that I would be bullish on this company in the middle and long term, yes. Especially where we are trading right now. Long on it almost 3 years. We were probably talking about a different company. Could you talk about PaySafe? Probably PaySafe, right? So yeah, I probably see it as an opportunity for PaySafe. What's up, Morgan? How are you doing? TTCF, we already talked about that, unfortunately. So yeah, you probably need to scroll back a little bit. I'm sorry. You know nothing. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Hey, we had an interesting conversation last week, right? Glad to see you back, by the way. That's honestly, that's kind of awesome of you to come back, because I remember our conversation of last week, and that was interesting to say the least. But I am Dutch. Yes, I'm Dutch. I'm what do you call it? I am Dutch. I've never been in South Africa, but I would definitely like to go there. But yeah, I am Dutch. I've been born in the Netherlands. I've been born in a province called Frisia, Friesland. And yeah, definitely, I am Dutch. C3AI got named one of the fastest growing companies in 2021 by the Financial Times. Glad I'm a shareholder. Yeah, that's I've been looking at this company actually, because I was seeing that it dropped down quite a bit. And, interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, so honestly, it could definitely be an opportunity. I don't know anything about the company itself, but it could definitely be an opportunity. Do you think this is one of the largest AI companies out there right now? Al? I'm kind of wondering, because I might want to add like an AI company at some point. And I was looking at this company when this IPO'd. I was looking at this like trend moving to the upside. And yeah, right now we had this massive dump, of course, but the technical analysis kind of suggests that we might see a double bottom going on right here. We bottomed out at $60, went up a bit, back to $60, back up a bit. So $60 could definitely be a big support level. And the RSI is moving back to the upside. So this definitely could be a nice target for a swing trade. I already have quite a lot of swing trades, so I'm not going to get into a swing trade myself. But honestly, I do think this is a pretty good setup right now. I would be bullish for a move to the upside in the next coming weeks to months, personally, purely based on technical analysis. So I don't really know a lot about the company. Market is already all-time high, and there's a pullback or correction due. We've already seen a correction. With that in mind, SPACs can go even lower if we see a pullback in the broader market. I feel like all SPACs are going to hit $10, whether they are good or bad. If we see this correction near term, you're speculating and being negative. We don't want... no, that's all right. I don't think it's negative. And honestly, well, I don't want to bash on you, but weren't you a little bit negative last week? Anyways, so yeah, I do think that we can definitely see SPACs going down more. But keep in mind that we have already seen a massive move to the downside. If you look again at the SPAC ETF, we have already gone down almost 30%. So that's quite massive if you ask me. So honestly, I think we have already seen a massive move to the downside. Now I feel you. I know that the general stock market like the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, of course, are at new all-time highs. But we also saw a nice little correction on the Nasdaq, for example, in February, March. We had a pretty massive move of 11% on the Nasdaq. So that already was a pretty move back to the downside, honestly. So yeah, it could definitely go down more. And I think a lot of SPACs are already at that $10 level. If I pull up my SPAC playlist, then we can see that, well, ASTS is no SPAC anymore, but FRX, GIK, IPOF, Nuvi, RTP, SMPR, TSIA, VIH. Those are all very close to the $10 level. Of course, there are many that are still above that, but yeah, I'm not sure if all of them are going to go to that $10 level, but definitely we can see some more downside. Let's see, what are your top, is that this next question? Yeah, what are the top 3 cryptos to invest in right now, according to you? So, depends. I think if you want to be a little bit on the safe end, I would just go for the safer plays. I would honestly go for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and probably Polkadot as my number 3. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are like the large number 1 and number 2. And I think Polkadot has a very big opportunity to grow in the next coming years. So it would be for the next coming years, like 3 to 5 years ahead in time. But honestly, yeah, I do think that we can see a lot of upside happening over there. So yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polkadot would be my picks. Taking a sip of my water. Thank you for the compliment, Mac Modi. Thank you for being here, by the way. Hey Sami, one question. What's up? What's up, Julian? The price to sales is still absurdly high for Tpgy. Do you think that could become a problem and create more downward pressure? According to traditional metrics, it's overvalued. So it depends if you look at the current revenue or the future revenue, of course. If you look at the current revenue, yes, it is a high price to sales ratio. Not absurdly high, honestly, not absurdly high, but it is a high price to sales ratio. Now, I think Tpgy is going to do well in the future. I think they only just got started. And I think that in about 5 years' time, they are already scaled up quite a lot, I think. The EV market is going to go up quite a bit. EVBox is the leader in Europe with regards to EV charging. And it could be, at some point, the overall global leader in EV charging if you compare it to ChargePoint. I think ChargePoint probably is going to win, but EVBox is probably going to be a very good number 2. It's a little bit like Fiverr versus Upwork, you know? So honestly, I think if you look at the future predicted revenue, and of course, as I say in many of my videos, predicted is a very important word because you don't know if it is going to happen. But yeah, if you look at the predicted revenue, I think it is very undervalued right now. And yeah, honestly, I think there are many specs out there that are way more overvalued compared to Tpgy. So personally, I think it's still a very good deal. But personally, I also am willing to wait 5 years. And maybe you don't. So that's kind of my my answer to that. Federico asks, do you know King's Resort? Yes, I do. Biggest poker room in Europe. Yeah, I've never been there myself. I've only played in the Netherlands, in the casino in the Netherlands. And I've also played in Belgium. But I've never been in King's Resort. I definitely should go there at some point to go to the, what is it, like the European, World Championship in Europe or whatever. I don't know what the name is. But yeah, I definitely know it, but I've never been there. Definitely need to go there. Aitor says, I missed a poker stream. Well, you're one of the few who missed it. You can watch it back on Twitch. You can definitely watch it back on Twitch. But yeah, honestly, I'm not sure if it's worth it. But you can go to Twitch and go to twitch.tv/wearenesami. And you're going to find the video somewhere there. So you can look it up if you want to. You can see me failing. Anyways, Julian says, I'm from Zuid-Holland, Spijkenisse. Love your channel, goed bezig. Dankjewel, man. Spijkenisse. Never been there. Never been there. I think AI is a good call. I think so too. Do you think Alphen is better value than Tpgy? Its price to sales ratios and price to revenue seems better. Could be. Could be. The price to sales could be better. But I do think that Tpgy has a brighter future compared to Alphen. Now, I don't know what the price or what the revenue is for this company. So I have no idea. According to TradingView, it currently has a market cap of 1.4 billion, which could very well be the case. I actually held Alphen for a long time last year, but I decided to go out of it because I didn't really think it was going to become a major leader, like a global leader in the EV charging space. So it does seem to have a market cap of 1.4 billion. And can we also take a look at these statistics to see if we can see a price to sales ratio? Seems to be 7.5. So yeah, it definitely is a solid price to sales ratio. I do think it is a solid company to invest in. And this could also be an opportunity. I remember that I personally sold out at like $85 or so. Also because of technical analysis. But right now, I do think that it might be undervalued at this moment in time. So yeah, I definitely can see you, what do you call it? Investing in this company. But honestly, I prefer companies that are leaders in a sector. And I think EVBox is a bigger leader than Alphen is. So is it a better value? I think if you look at the current price to sales ratio, yes. I think if you look at the future price to sales ratio, maybe. Then it probably is a little bit more, I don't really care, you know? Kimberly says, an old English saying, sell in May and go away. Hey, I read about that today. And that actually rhymes, let's go. And come on back on St. Ledger's Day? What is that? St. Ledger's Day? St. Ledger's Day. I don't know that. St. Ledger's Steaks? St. Ledger Day? St. Ledger Day. I don't know what that is. But I do remember, I think I saw that on Yahoo Finance or so. Let's see. Is it down here? I'm going to be looking at, yeah, here. Investors should literally go away in May. That's funny, I've never heard about it, and now I hear about it twice. No, I don't want to listen to that. Sell in May and go away, according advises the trading maxim. I've never heard about that. That's funny. That's funny. Go back and come back on St. Ledger's Day. Probably have to read this then. But maybe you read this article and maybe you were basing your comments on this, Kimberly. I think we ought to wait a little bit more for the overtures of what the next month may see. Yeah, potentially. Any SPACs that hit the AI front? So you have a few chips companies. I think, was it FGNA? I think it were the last couple of videos that I've been talking about that are focusing on the chips and quantum computing, for example, which I suppose you can see that as artificial intelligence companies, I would say. Let's see, videos. So I think the last SPAC valuation videos that I did, so Acronics, ACAEV, and which one? Or is that not even live? Oh, it's going to be live today, probably. Yeah, it's going to be live today on. It's going to be live today later on in a few hours' time. If I go to my YouTube studio, I can show it. Let's see my content. So today I'm going to be talking about quantum computing, IonQ, which is also a slightly artificial intelligence play, if you will, because they are focusing on quantum computing and those chips that are focused on that. So WSOP, right, yeah, the World Series of Poker Europe, exactly. Right, there seems to have been a class action suit filed. Yes, exactly. I've also been watching. Good. I personally love Coinbase for long term. Yeah, cool. Don't care if it goes to 250 long term. Good, very good. How many poker director are there? Really? That's awesome, Federico. That's funny. Like the director, or just like that's pretty cool, actually. Awesome. Hopefully see you soon here. Yeah. Are you still doing tournaments, by the way, right now? Are you still doing tournaments? I've been playing a few. I've been willing to play a little bit more poker, but right now with the whole Corona situation, I haven't really been able to play poker here in the Netherlands. But I think that at in Rosvadov they still had poker tournaments, right? Pretty cool, by the way, to have a poker director in here. That's awesome. It might be a good buying opportunity, but would have to see how the news aligning with procedure and investor sentiment plays out in the next coming weeks in conjunction with larger market overtures. Those are some good, solid statements there, Kimberly. Definitely, yeah. My high conviction SPACs, STPK, Tpgy, CCIV, IPOE, ACTC, NGEA. Very good. I like those picks. I definitely like STPK. I very much like Tpgy. I like IPOE. I like ACTC. I like NGA too. I kind of like CCIV. And I think I like MP too. I don't really know a lot about that, but I believe that it is a 3D printing company, and I think ARK Invest might also be investing in that. So I like that. I like that a lot. My highest conviction SPACs right now are Tpgy and GNPK merging with Redwire and FRX merging with the Beachbody. Basically, mainly based on the valuations. Nesami, it's very nice to know how to attribute your accent. That's awesome. Yeah, I probably have a very weird accent, I suppose. It's probably not really Dutch, it's probably not really English, it's probably not really American, it's probably not really Australian. It's probably a mixture of like accents all over the world, because I've never lived in a English-speaking country. So I've just picked up things from videos and like YouTube and movies and other people. So yeah, I don't really know how my accent sounds, actually. That's funny. Thanks for the answer on Alphen. So basically, Tpgy is better value if you take into account the higher global growth potential, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I try to say. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the case. I'm in on STPK, CCIV, ACTC, MP. The last fared very well for me. You like the rhythm, like the melodies. That's awesome. Let's actually pull up MP materials. This has been doing quite well. I can definitely see this move back to $28.40 more or less, because we did go down, because we did have a nice little support over there. But I would probably see that as an opportunity. C3AI CEO is Thomas Siebel, who founded Siebel Systems and sold it to Oracle for a couple billions about 10 years ago. And their biggest customers now are Royal Dutch Shell, 3M, US Department of Defense. That's awesome to know, Al. That's awesome to know. That's definitely awesome to know. So interesting, by the way, that they are having major clients like Royal Dutch Shell and 3M. Those are not the first companies that I would think about as like companies that would be needing the services of AI companies, you know? But it's good to know. What is your opinion on the last time that there were this many stocks with price to sales ratios above 30? Was in 2000. Really? These metrics are kind of worrying me. Then again, interest rates were way higher back then. Yeah, so it's an interesting question. I haven't really thought about it. But when I read the question, I was thinking about Cathie Wood. And I think, and I'm not entirely sure if she said it this way, but I think right now what we are seeing is companies with exponential growth. Companies are growing way faster than they did back in 1990 or 2000. Companies aren't growing at like 10% annually anymore, not at 20%, but some companies are growing at like 100% compound annual growth rate over the next 5 to 10 years, you know? So I think because of that exponential growth that is happening in companies like Tesla even, I think investors are willing to pay higher, to pay more, pay a higher price to sales ratio for those companies. You know what I mean? So I think that might be one of the factors, might be one of the reasons for which the price to sales ratios are higher right now. And I think Cathie Wood said something along those same lines. But I could be wrong. What do you think? What do you think, Julian? Or Julian, I suppose. We are closed at the moment, but we hope to open now in May. Ah, that's awesome. That's cool. Is the when is the WSOP? Do you have any dates set for this year? Planned for September, November. Okay. Okay. That's cool. Let's see. Oh wait, this is the WSOP. I was wondering the WSOP E. This one. What does the lineup look like? If there's like a solid tournament as a main event, then I don't know, maybe I would go. Could be cool. Could be cool. Are you in the Discord, by the way, Federico? Let me know. Could be cool to have you. Okay, Nesami, what is your opinion about Dogecoin? I've already talked about Dogecoin in the beginning, actually, of this video, so I'm not going to repeat that. And what do you think about chilies? Same thing. I already talked about chilies too. So honestly, yeah, I'm not going to talk about those again. I've already talked about that. If you want to talk about that a little bit, then you can check out what I said in the previous section. I'm going to try to wrap up, by the way, because I'm getting a little bit tired. My mind is not working very fast anymore. Julian says, I'm not sure if there is really that much change in growth rates. Back then, it was the internet. Yeah, definitely. But yes, I understand what you're saying. But I kind of think that was not exponential growth just yet. But I might be completely wrong. So let's just look at Microsoft, for example. I think we saw a solid move to the upside. And of course, right now we are in that exponential phase. This is probably kind of what I mean. In the year 2000, you saw that companies like Microsoft went flat for a long time. And they probably grew, but they probably didn't grow as fast as companies are growing right now, honestly. And right now what we are seeing is this massive growth, this exponential growth to the upside. I kind of think that right now we are seeing some technologies decrease in cost a lot. Back then things were way more expensive. Things like computers, for example, were way more expensive than they were before. I see an interesting comment, but okay. So yeah, things were way more expensive. If you look, for example, at batteries or chips, like in computers, for example, then those were very expensive back in the year 2000. And right now they have become very cheap. If you look at artificial intelligence, for example, right now that's becoming cheaper and cheaper. If you look at CRISPR technologies, that is becoming cheaper and cheaper as well. So I kind of think that because of those technologies becoming cheaper right now, what I think is going to happen is that the companies are going to be able to leverage the, like, cheapening? What do you call it? The fact that everything is becoming cheaper, they're going to be able to leverage that, and they're going to be able to produce more, to service more customers, and that is probably, in my opinion, going to lead to more exponential growth than we have ever seen in the history. And I don't think we have already seen that exponential growth right now. I think we are going to see even crazier growth. So, but yeah, again, these are just my random thoughts that I'm thinking about right now. I should probably sit down and think about it clearly. But you make some good points, for sure. You make some good points. Have a good night, Julian. Have a good night. I'm impressed with your knowledge, says Emilia. I'm impressed with your comment. I'll leave it at that. WSOPE in this year will be from 19th of November until 7th of December. Still working on the schedule. So are you like the main tournament director? I think we'll publish it in about 2 weeks' time. Cool, let me know, let me know. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of tournaments you offer, because I don't really want to go there for like the $100 tournaments, you know? I would go there for like, I don't know, maybe like €500 plus tournaments or so. That could be interesting. But yeah, are you like the main tournament director? That's pretty cool, actually. It's awesome to have you in here. Funny. Interesting point of view, thanks. Yeah, you too, man, you too. You make some good points. So definitely interesting to think about. Definitely interesting to think about. Because of course, as you say, we could very well be in a bubble, right? But personally, I don't believe so. That's also based because of Kathy Wood's opinion, and she also thinks that we are not in a bubble just yet, and we're going to see exponential growth. Which is why she's investing in companies that still have kind of, well, high price to sales ratios. I am poker director. Yeah, but like the main guy, the guy who's like above everyone, or I don't know. So basically, tournament directors are working in my team. That's awesome, man. That's cool. That's cool. You probably know this Dutch guy then, right? What is he? There's like this Dutch guy who's very famous for going to Rosvedov, and he organizes like tours, and he organizes all these kinds of things for Dutch people. I played poker with him, actually. Damn, what is his name again? WSOP Rosvedov Reis, whatever. Let's try that. Poker Reis? Yeah, probably. So yes, I'm the main director of the poker room. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I really want to know this guy. Ronald, yeah, exactly, Ronald. Oh, what's his last name again? He's very cool. He's Ronald van der Linde. That's him. Yeah, he's awesome. I played with him in Rotterdam. Ronald van der Linde. Yeah, that's right. That's awesome. He's a very cool guy. He, yeah, this guy. Look at this. Oh, that's so funny. I think it was a little bit younger here. 2015. That's so funny. Yeah, I remember playing a tournament in Rotterdam with this guy, and he was very funny. Very funny. Anyways, enough about poker. Which sector do you think is going to be doing better in the next few months? That's really difficult to say, MacBody. And that's going to be the last question, by the way, for today, because I am going to wrap this up. Because, yeah, it is already getting late. I need to do a few more things before I take off. But what sector is going to do well? Yeah, difficult to say, man. Very difficult to say. I just don't really know. I don't really know what is going to happen in the next coming months. I can say that in the next coming years, I think the EV sector is going to do well. But in the next coming months, I don't really know, honestly. Is there any sector that could be doing well? Maybe EVs. Maybe the EV sector is going to do well because of the plans of Biden, of course. The Biden infrastructure plan could definitely be bullish for the EV sector. So not only electric vehicle cars, but also the EV charging infrastructure. That can be a bullish sector for sure. So yeah, if I would have to guess, and that's a pure guess, then I would say the EV sector. Okay, I think I'm going to be leaving you guys and girls right here because I am going to, go ahead and do some more things, take some dinner as well. Hope to see you next week too. And probably next week I might be talking about myself. Sounds a little bit more, what do you call it, egocentrical or whatever you want to call it, but I probably am going to explain a little bit more about who I am, where I come from, what my goals are in life, and goals of my business, basically because of the comments of You Know Nothing of last week, because those stimulated my brain a little bit to think about maybe I should put myself out there a little bit more and explain who I am, where I come from, what I want to do. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that next week, and I hope to see you there. Definitely hope to see you there. Again, if you want to join our Discord for free, you can join us by going to nesami.com/discord. Also, again, keep in mind that I am running a technical analysis program in 2 weeks' time. So if you want to stay up to date for that, then you can go to nesami.com/TA to sign up for this newsletter, if you will. Then you're going to be entirely up to date with that and potentially even get a nice little present when the time is there, when I'm going to launch that program in about 2 weeks' time. So apart from that, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me here, for being here almost 1.5 hours or even a little bit longer than that, for sharing your valuable time with me. I really appreciate that. And of course, I appreciate all of your comments. They definitely help me in my journey. So hopefully you have a beautiful night ahead.